What's your taxable event if you sell this property?
$280,000.
So you have 280,000 reasons to do a 1031 tax deferred exchange. That $280,000 that you owe gets deferred into the next property, and you don't have to pay it for as long as you own the next property. It doesn't go away until, James, you die. So some people say, I'm going to invest in commercial real estate my entire life. I'm going to continue to daisy chain these 1031s until I die. And then the next generation, or whoever the heirs end up being, get a stepped up basis, and that tax actually vanishes.
Now here's how you build multi-generational wealth.
The investors in our audience should have really perked up about the topic of this episode. This is a strategy they can use to protect their wealth and maximize it moving forward.
Get those shiny tools in your toolbox that makes you better at what you do.
And one of your tools should be 1031 Broker James, but I don't want to call you a tool like that. All right. So that's something Timmy probably would have said. James, you are putting yourself out there as an expert in this thing, and you're wanting to educate the industry. And the flip side of that is, if you're listening to this and you want help with 1031s, reach out to James. He's inviting you to do so.
Yes.
This episode is sponsored in part by the Massimo Group. Are you a commercial real estate broker looking to boost your business? The Massimo Group is the world's premier coaching organization, transforming the careers of brokers just like you, just like it did for me. Visit www.massimo-group.com today to get started and take your career to the next level. This episode is also brought to you by Site to Do Business, commercial real estate's most advanced toolkit, providing commercial real estate professionals like me with premier data, mapping, and marketing tools to win business and revolutionize decision-making. Visit stdb.com to learn more.
That is a really good name for a bar that's on the beach, right? Soggy Dollar.
Oh, yeah, because you went
you have
swimming.
to swim from your boat, and by the time you get there, your money's wet. So
that's right. That's perfect. There's another one. There's a bar in near Broadway called, I don't know if this is real actually. It was in Barrie. But it was a bar that mainly actors went to, and it was called Residuals. Right? And I was like, oh, that's a really good name for a bar.
For an actor bar.
For an actor bar, a bar that's, right there, Residuals.
What would the Residuals concept be in commercial real estate?
Anybody listening to this right now, give us a good name for a commercial real estate bar. I think that's going to be really fun. Mm-hmm. Like in the comments right now, but what would be a great bar name for commercial real estate?
And if you say cap rate, you're fired. It won't be cap rate, okay?
How about commissionectomy?
That actually sounds like a medical procedure.
It is exactly a medical procedure.
Oh.
It's when they extract commission from you right before close.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise known as a haircut. Or in other words, you're the broker. We're sitting down at the closing table, and the guy says, look, this just isn't going to work. But
right.
If you'll cut your fee, we can get this done today.
Right. Yeah.
I've got a guy we worked with 100% of the time. Anytime I've done a deal with him, he's tried to get me to cut my fee.
Every time.
It's coming at some point.
Right.
We don't work with him anymore.
We've all had that client.
Yeah, we don't work with him anymore. He uses quasi-residential agents now that he can control and manipulate.
Oh, my goodness.
As a matter of fact, the guy that introduced me to the Soggy Dollar Bar was that very client.
Oh, is that right?
Oh my goodness! Full circle.
Nice callback.
Do you know
James.
what? Why don't we cut the fee and I'll buy you a shirt
and a drink.
I went down to the BVI's with him twice and the Bahamas once. So I went on sail trips with him 3 times. He always charged me, but he would take his banker for free. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, what?
I've made you millions. Has he made you millions?
Right.
He's helped you help me make you millions, but where's the love? Come on.
Right. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right. Should we jump in?
Yeah, let's jump in.
All right. Welcome to Commercially Speaking. I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD.
And I'm Bo Barron, CCIM.
And this is the podcast where my brother Bo teaches me everything about commercial real estate investing. I'm an actor and comedian. I started as an idiot. Now I know so much. You are the owner and manager of Barron Commercial Group, CCIM instructor, a former Marine, So handsome.
Oh,
Such
come
a
on
handsome
now.
brother. Yeah,
Bring it.
best
Keep
big
talking.
brother. Yeah. So that is what this is. Welcome. Bo, what are you teaching me today?
Well, we've got a guest.
Ooh.
And we're going to be talking about something. I think we've referenced this maybe a couple times in just like a small way, but we've never gotten into 1031 tax deferred exchanges, what they are and whatever.
Sure.
And so just so happens that I've got a good buddy that I've known for years who's an absolute expert on 1031s. And like that's his business. Like what he does is he is a commercial real estate broker in Southern California who helps people understand and execute 1031 exchanges. So let me introduce you to my buddy, James Bean.
Yes. 1031 broker, James. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here with my brother Bo today.
Yeah. My brother Bo, too. Does that make us brothers, too, James?
It does.
Oh,
You know, the brother that's between us, his name is James.
That's
James-
right.
That's right. James.
We
Jr.
have a James Barron already, but we'll make room in the family. Let me kind of share the story quickly about how we met,
Okay.
and then James can tell you about how he got into commercial real estate and stuff because we have similar backgrounds in some ways.
Yeah. Okay.
So 2016, I'm with the Massimo Group. We do a webinar. We're trying to recruit coaches. We've got more demand than we have supply. Like we're out of coaching slots and we need more coaches. And so we created a system to go after great brokers who had a passion to share their knowledge and help people grow their businesses.
Right.
The thing with coaching is the income you can generate by coaching is good, but it's not as good as what you'd make if you just stayed in your commercial real estate brokerage lane.
Yeah.
And so we were looking for people that were passionate, got a great deal of satisfaction. And so we weren't able to pay them what they were worth, but we were able to pay them enough so that it was worth doing. And so we did a series of webinars to try to just put a lot of candidates in the funnel. And on the end of that, we would do these coach academies, and we would bring the coaches in to Raleigh, North Carolina, the global headquarters of the Massimo Group. And we would we'd train them up for a couple days. Here's how we do what we do. Like it was all systematized. We want you to take your experience and personality, apply it to the Massimo methods, and help coach the Massimo members, the clients.
I'd be a good coach, I think.
I think you would be too.
Yeah.
So we bring James in. He's one of four. James Bean, Jim Risha, David Bickle, and Heidi.
Bickle.
No, the fourth was Rob Powell.
Rob Powell. Rob's coming to Owensboro next week.
Shout out, Rob.
Here's what happened. It's my job to pick him up the next morning. And you know what I did?
What
You know what I did.
Oh,
You
you're
short-
going to tell this story?
Yeah, this is how we met.
it looks like he wants
actually,
to.
It was the second morning. We had already met 'cause you picked us up from the airport.
Okay, well, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Go ahead. No, I'm
okay.
ecstatic that you're going to share this because I was going to share it and go, are you okay if I share this? But go ahead.
So
you go, man.
I oversleep.
Oh, no.
So here I've got four coaches.
Yeah.
So I'm just flat no-show.
Oh, my goodness, Bo.
And so all of a sudden, the phone starts ringing in the hotel room, and it's some employee downstairs saying they're trying to get a hold of me. And I have one of those oh crap moments,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
No time to brush your hair. No time to poop. No time to, brush your teeth.
I
up
brush
and go.
my teeth.
Yeah.
But I hate being late.
Yeah.
I hate it. It's embarrassing at every level.
Right.
Okay. Especially when people are counting on you to do something.
Right.
Well,
And you can blame that on the military background.
yeah. And when,
Sure.
well, and our father.
Yeah.
Like when we'd oversleep at home, like it was sometimes a booming voice would get our attention. And it was,
It was always like the phone going, beep.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, morning. And I was like, oh.
Oh, I hated that buzzer.
Yeah, we had those little phones that you'd have in an office in all of our rooms,
Yeah,
so mom could
intercoms.
buzz us, buzz in an intercom. That sound in the morning, beep. Are you up yet or whatever? I was like, oh.
But I did that to Rod 3 different times when I was at the Massimo Group.
Overslept?
Overslept. Somebody had to come get me.
Oh
kind of
my
thing.
God.
That never happens to me, but
Yeah.
I did it to Rod 3 different times.
Yeah, because I don't know that about you. I know that you are good at getting up or you get up at a decent time, but I guess that's as you've.
I got up at 4 o'clock this morning. I was at the gym at 5:15.
I know. That's, yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah, your
it's-
lifestyle has dramatically changed since it.
Yeah.
but anyway, it was that's That's how James and I met. So we spent a couple days in Raleigh, North Carolina, and developed our friendship. In fact, that evening, we went to some restaurant on the Massimo group, and I remember that the 5 of us, the 4 coaches and me, and Rod and Maggie were there. And matter of fact, when I stopped talking, I think Rod just sent me the picture of all of us at that restaurant.
Uh-huh.
And
Nice.
I'll pull it up, but it was a little bit of
Woodford Reserve.
double oaked. Woodford Reserve double oaked. Yeah. Rod had a little bit of a surprise when he got the bill. You know, that's not the cheapest bourbon on the planet. So,
You never go for the cheapest bourbon, especially on Rod's time.
it wasn't the most expensive bourbon either.
Sure.
But it was really good for the price.
Not like Weller's,
regardless. Yeah. So, anywho.
Well,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
how.
this is gonna be fun.
But James, tell Timmy, like you already knew who I was.
Yeah, we had been connected for a while, and you will have to remind me timelines, or you know timelines better than I will. But I got licensed in 2000, but I was actually tied to the commercial real estate market for about 5 years prior to that. At the time I was married, my in-laws were in the dry cleaning business, and we opened a bunch of dry cleaning plants, a total of 75. I did about 18 myself. So that's
Wow.
what I did after my graphic design career.
Oh, cool.
So I was 37 years old when I started my real estate career.
Moving on up.
Anyhow, in the early 2000s, I was very progressive. I had a website up, I think in 2002.
Ooh.
Brokers thought I was nuts. I'm like, why are you wasting your money on that? That is so dumb.
Yeah.
You know, and that look where we're at now. It's
Right.
like- anyhow, I was doing a lot of research, and Bo was way cutting edge back then for being digitally active as a commercial real estate broker. And I was like, this guy's cool. And then I was even more impressed, like, holy smokes, he's from Kentucky.
Yeah. Can you imagine somebody
Right.
being
Wouldn't you
progressive from
expect
Kentucky?
That guy to be from LA, be one of my homies. But no, he's like,
Well,
Oh my
Kentuckian that knows how to use a computer. Wow.
so Bo-Barron.com. Bo, when did you start? Bo-Barron.com. You know, he was, and I'm sure that's how Rod came and got you and made you, because we were connected before you were connected to Rod.
I knew Rod when we franchised with SVN in 2008, and Rod was still a VP at SVN. And when we went in for SVN boot camp, Rod was running that. And so that's when we met. And so right when he started the Massimo Group in 2010, within that first year, I hired him to be my coach. That's kind of how we got connected. But at some point, probably around 2010, I started the blog.
I save everything. I have resources up the wazoo. I mean, if it's something that I can speak on, do a topic on, do a training on, I keep it. And so last time I moved, which is about 6 years ago, I found a bunch of stuff from Bo, and I took pictures of it and sent it to him, texted it to him, and it was some of the old worksheets.
Look at this. So the last one he posted was October 11, 2016, 8 different mindsets that define top producers. Look at that photo you chose. Oh, wow. Okay, so James, you are an expert in 1031 tax exchange. Can you tell me about that? So we've gotten to where you're working with Massimo, Bo, coaching, and what has led you up until to the point where you are now?
About 2010 is when I realized I had an epiphany, and it was, wow, commission checks from investment sales are way higher than leasing checks. I found a client. It was the guy that introduced me to the Saudi Dollar Bar. He and I started doing some business. I ended up doing about $30 million of business with this guy. And so I got into investment sales. Well, I've been in Phoenix 30 years, and I wanted to move back home. Serendipitous moment. Not kidding. I was here in summer of 2014. I was sitting from my brother's house, and I'd been here for about a week and a half, and I made up my mind. I already knew I was going to come back to California, but I made up my mind. I'm moving back to Ventura. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know what that looks like, but I am moving back to Ventura. That was on a Saturday. The following Monday, I'm back in my office in Phoenix, and I get a call, California number, and it turns out it's Marcus Millichap recruiter.
Mm.
Guy tried to recruit me for the Phoenix office. And I said, no, thanks. And he said, oh, well, if you ever change your mind, let me know. And I said, hey, well, I got you on the phone. What's happening in California? And he said, well, we're actually expanding. And I said, really? He said, yeah, we're getting ready to open 3 new offices, Bakersfield, Fresno, and Ventura. So long story short, Marcus hired me. I moved home in 2015 and was introduced to the Net Lease World. Never knew it existed. I was like, whoa, what is this?
We can't assume that Timmy understands what you mean when you say the Net Lease World.
It's an investment grade asset. So it's typically leased to a corporate tenant, corporate guarantee, or a large franchisee. A lot of, like the drive-thrus are considered net lease. The drugstore are considered
So a guy
net
like James is listing and selling those triple net assets or those net lease assets. So we've talked about what a net lease is.
Right.
He's talking about investment sales where he's going out there and prospecting, cold calling the owners of these net lease assets, putting them on the market, getting them sold, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So when he said Net Lease World, think investment sales. Selling income producing properties.
As opposed to
net lease.
As opposed to
what we do most around over here where we're doing a lot of owner user stuff.
Oh.
So we might sell a business a vacant building so they can move their office in there. There's no lease involved in that.
Right.
So when he says Net Lease World, he's talking about investment sales.
So an
I'm still
investor
confused. Would buy that building because of the net lease that's in place.
It's a hands-off investment. So, grandma and grandpa buy net lease stuff because it's hands-off to them.
It's mailbox money.
Getting on the lease, but yeah.
I gotcha. So I see. Somebody else is working out of there, or another business is working out of there, or something like that, and they just own the building.
That's right.
That's what we mean.
Yep.
As opposed to owner user.
There's a tenant in there who has a net lease, which means grandma and granddad or whoever bought that building.
Yeah.
They're not responsible for anything. They don't get calls from the tenant when something breaks. The tenant just goes ahead and fixes it.
Yeah.
And so they just get a rent check every month.
Nice.
It's like mailbox money.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we call it. Mailbox.
That's the name of our commercial real estate bar.
Yes.
Mailbox money.
That'd be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a good one.
Go ahead and copyright that if you would.
Yeah, you got it.
So I ended up being at Marcus for 3 years. It was after year 1 when Bo reached out to me. You actually reached out to me through LinkedIn. You sent me we were already connected on LinkedIn. You sent me a mail like, hey, are you interested in being a coach? And I'm like, yeah, what are you talking about? And you sent me, go watch this link. So that's how I started. Anyhow, at the end of 2017, my sales manager came to me and gave me an ultimatum. He said, you can't be both. You can't coach and be a broker. I'm like, what? And plus that was the thing that I really loved about Massimo is that I was switching gears. I came back to California. I had no database. So when I got introduced to Massimo, I was like, it's like the heavens opened up to me and God said, here's the golden pathway to a career in whatever, commercial real estate, net business. This is going to help you succeed in investment sales. Obviously, history is showing what I told that guy, Marcus, to do, because now I've been with SVN ever since.
Yeah.
So getting to the 1031. So 2018, I wasn't net lease specialized. I'd sold some net lease deals that helped some people do some exchanges. Networking organization I belong to, which is rapidly growing all over the country. Everybody should go look them up, see if they're close to you. It's called Provisors. I'd been in Provisors for a couple of years, and I was doing a presentation about the net lease, absolute net lease assets, and happened to tie it into how great of a 1031 exchange option it is. And a real estate attorney came up to me after the group and said, no one in this organization talks about 1031s. What a gift.
Yeah.
I went back and somebody said, hey, can you do a specific presentation on 1031 exchange? I said, absolutely, I can. I went and started doing research, and I was like, I'm going to talk about the myths of the 1031 because I knew there was a few. I went online. I found 48 different myths.
Wow.
I said, what are the top 10? I went David Letterman on 1031 exchange. Go to the top 10 myths of the 1031 exchange. So, anyways, that while doing that research, I found out something very alarming. Statistic from the FEA, which is the Federation of Exchange Accommodators. Those are the people that help you do the exchange. More than 60% of exchanges fail every year. I couldn't find anybody in the country that all they do is represent exchange buyers. And when you think about this huge transfer of wealth that's happening right now with the baby boomers, it's kind of no wonder. And then when I saw the 48 myths and started digging deeper and deeper and deeper into all the content that is out there, aside from the QI sites, there's no strategy. And nobody talks about the exchange from the broker's point of view. Like, wow, there's a huge hole here that needs to be filled. Summer 2019 is when I was like, I'm doing this. I'm diving all in. I started working on a website to finally launched in summer of 2020, Best 1031 Online. And I recently launched the YouTube channel under the same name, Best 1031 Online. Launched that in mid-October.
Nice. Good job. Congratulations.
Yeah, we were looking at some of that the other day.
Have you done the top 10 1031 myths video yet?
No. Yes. Actually, I have.
Okay, great.
We just shot that. It's not posted yet, but it is shot.
Yeah, that's a good video.
Well, here, let's teach Timmy what a 1031 tax deferred exchange actually is.
Yeah, and I was
like, why on earth is it a thing? Why would somebody want to do it?
What is it?
Let's just start at a high level, teach them what it is. I've known what this is for about 20 years now, but I've still got questions. And I've done them before, and I've helped people do them before, and I've seen people do them wrong. But he's thrown out QI a couple times. Like, what's a QI, an up leg, a down leg? What about identification, timelines? The different rules of identifying how you can do it. Like, there's so many details, but before we get into all that, what at a high level, what is this thing in the first place?
And James, I got a challenge for you when you jump into this right now too.
Yeah.
You are coming to my kids' 4th grade class to speak to them, and you've got 5 minutes to tell them about what a 1031 tax exchange is. That will help me out a great deal to lay the foundation before we get deeper.
So let's use small words. Yeah.
Well, fortunately, I'm a small word guy myself. So, Bo, I'm going to use you to prove a point, my brother.
Okay.
So,
great.
Humor me. You're a real estate broker. You've been in commercial real estate how many years?
20.
How many exchanges have you done?
3, I think. And I've helped probably 5 people do it.
Okay. Tell me what the 3 identification rules are.
All right.
I love this. I'm normally the one taking these questions.
Here's before I fall on my face here, I'm going to tell you what I do know. I did know there were 3 rules, okay? One of them is you can identify 3 properties. Well, 100% of the 8 that I've been involved with have gone that route, and my guess is 90% or more do that.
True.
Okay. Another one is you can identify up to 200%.
Correct.
Okay, and then the third one is maybe up to 20%. But then you have to close on 95% of them or something like that?
Thanks for playing.
Wow.
Actually, you know what? It's unfortunate because the judges are going to have to decline that answer, but you're on the right path.
Okay.
And so I'm impressed, but kind of not really. Because,
well, bite me.
Bo is a very smart guy. We all know that.
Very smart, yes.
So the third rule is the 95% exception rule, which means you can identify as many properties as you want at any value you want. You must purchase 95% of what you identify.
Okay. So I was wrong about the 20 limitation on that. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the other 2 rules, and the 3 property rule, because I would say 75% of the people that I represent, they identify 1 property. James, that's the one. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And just get it done.
What does it mean to identify a property? Find
we're
it?
going to get there for you. So let's go back to the kindergarten class.
Yeah. We'll get there in a second.
Oh, okay, cool.
Timmy still doesn't even know what a 1031 tax deferred exchange
and then
is.
all these, then all these numbers came. And I know that it means that you can sell and put that money into another property to defer the capital gains tax.
that is the basis, really. That's the basics of it.
All right.
So what a lot of people don't know, and this was actually one of the 48 myths, is that people say, you know what, it's too new, I don't trust it.
Huh.
The original 1031 exchange was part of the tax code in 1921.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I just did a great history video that'll be on the channel here before the end of the year.
Nice.
Anyhow, so it's an article in the tax code, Article 1031. It's a tax benefit that allows a taxpayer who has bought a piece of property that is used for business, trade, or investment, when they decide they want to sell that, if there are significant capital gains, a large profit made when they sell it, that if they reinvest those funds, notice how I said that, reinvest those funds, they can defer those capital gains tax for as long as they own that property or continue to exchange.
Reinvest those funds into anything?
Another investment property, a like kind, or whether, again, another property that is not for personal use, that is meant for business, trade, or investment.
Gotcha. Okay, yes.
So
Okay.
you could sell an apartment complex and go buy a farm. You could sell an office building and buy a condo on the beach that you rent out.
Sure, okay.
You like kind of, it doesn't have to be the same type of property.
But it could be residential, like the condo on the beach.
But you bought it for investment purposes. You didn't buy it to live in it.
Right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
However, and I don't want to get deep into this, but because you got anybody watching this, obviously you want to go to my channel if you want to really get deep.
That's right. You want to go deep. Yeah. You're exactly right. We want to go to Best 1031 online.
So you can, and a lot of people are doing this. Elderly people, like especially in New York and along the Eastern Seaboard, people that have owned these properties literally for decades, and they're selling them and buying beachfront property in Florida and renting them out. And you need to rent them out for at least 2 years. And then you can move into it after that.
Wow.
The taxes don't go away. There's a couple forms you have to fill out. I mean, you can't just do it. There's some process, but you can do that. And the taxes, as long as you own that property, those capital gains are still deferred. But if they sell it, you're going to trigger that event and you're going to end up paying those capital gains tax.
Gotcha. You said QI again.
Yeah, so let me go through the rules. So now you know what a 1031 is.
Yes.
Okay, so there's 5 main rules. The number 1 rule is equal to or greater than. Number 2 is you must use a QI. Number 3 is it must be like kind. Number 4 is you have 45 days to identify your replacement property. That clock starts the first day after you close escrow on the relinquished property. Rule number 5 is you have 180 days to close on that replacement property. Day 1 is also the day after close of the relinquished property. All right, so number 1, equal to or greater than. If you sell a property for $2 million, if you want to defer 100% of those taxes, you need to go invest $2 million.
At least, yeah. Okay.
Could be in two $1 million deals though, right?
You can invest as many properties as you want, as long as you reinvest the $2 million or whatever you sold for.
Yep.
And there's deeper rules around that. And there's a partial exchange. Some people say, you know what? I'm only going to exchange $1 million. I'm going to take cash and do whatever with it. I know I'm going to pay the tax on that.
Ask me what the cash is called, because I failed on your last question. So
yeah, okay. What is it called?
boot.
That's correct.
Boot.
Yeah.
Nice. Good job, Bo.
All right, I feel better about myself.
I was going to say, one of you probably wear a pair of them.
I got Crocs.
Yep.
And not Croc skin boots.
I got Go Fasters on. Yep.
Anyhow, so QI, qualified intermediary, or the accommodator. This is rule number 2, which really is the most important rule, because I find out this is one of the very popular reasons why the exchange failed. And I hear about this multiple times every quarter,
Makes sense.
almost monthly, do I hear about a case where an investor sells a property, closes escrow without an accommodator. That automatically avoids your exchange.
So let me take you through a scenario because this is how it has to work.
Okay.
I'm just going to flesh out what he just said.
Okay.
All right. Let's say we sell this office building that we're in.
Oh, don't do it.
Okay. And we're going to 1031 into something that has a better, larger podcast studio.
Let's go. Yeah, let's do it.
And I'm going to 1031 from this building into the next building.
Okay.
Okay. The next one's bigger. It's nicer. It's more valuable. And so when I go to the closing and we sign the closing statements and all the docs, instead of them giving me a check for the proceeds from this building, that check actually goes to the qualified intermediary or the accommodator. Now, around here, you're generally going to be using like the trust department of a bank. We don't have any companies here that are just dedicated QIs.
Yeah.
All right. The key is we never touch the money.
Gotcha.
It goes from that property to the QI into the next property, and we never touch it. If we touch it, we pay tax on it.
That's why he said reinvest the funds.
Yes.
Well, I said funds is because here's another myth. And this is one of the things that drives me crazy about the content that's online right now is people say reinvest the profit. No, you reinvest 100% of the funds.
Yeah. So if you did make a profit,
It all goes into the next building.
Everything.
Oh, everything.
If you sell the office building Bo's talking about for $1 million, you got to go buy another at least $1 million property.
Makes sense.
Now, let's say I wanted to hold on to 100,000 of that
Yeah.
to go on the dream vacation. That'd be ridiculous. A dream vacation for us would not be $100,000, but just I've got some other use.
We'll go with you.
And so, yeah, right. So we take $1.4 million instead of $1.5 million goes into the next building, and I keep 100,000.
That's partial.
I'm paying capital gains tax just on the 100,000 of boot that I'm taking out.
Gotcha.
Because I touched it and I'm going to spend it some other way. It's not going into that next building.
Yes. Oh, that's the name of I just came up with another name for the bar. Capital Gains. No, that'd be a name of a CRE gym. Capital Gains.
That's good. Okay.
All right.
As we flesh out our next business idea, what else do we need to know about QIs?
They call them qualified intermediaries, but there's actually no license, no certification. The three of us could open a QI firm tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
We could.
Yeah.
And there's mom and pop QIs all over the country.
And there's complete frauds all over the country trying to do this work.
That's why, just like anything else, use the experts. IPX 1031 is probably the largest QI in the country. They're owned by Fidelity and a guy who's nationally known. His name is Greg Burns. He is my QI that I use. And Greg and he's actually going to do a one episode a month with me called the QI Corner.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
I like that.
You must engage that QI. Everything, there's a paper trail and other things have to be done prior to close. Like, you can't do it on the day of close. They need probably a week, and that's probably testing them. Mm-hmm. You really should, within a couple of weeks of you closing, you should already be all set with your QI.
Okay.
You just want it smooth. I had one case that this was a couple of years ago. It was literally about 4 days before close. He finally had a conversation with the CPA. And the CPA, your capital gains tax on that is going to be about $350. And he wait, I'm not writing a check to Uncle Sam for $350,000 out of this money. And he said, oh, yes, you are, unless you do a 1031 exchange. Unless they do a what?
Right.
And so he said, I got somebody you need to call. So he called me, and he hadn't been to a QI yet. And I was like, you need to go I'll send you Greg's name and number, and you need to get looked up. And then, so we ended up doing the successful exchange. But I tell people, it's like, if I hear these things this often, just me, myself, and I in this little podunk town of Ventura, imagine how often it's happening all over the country.
Right.
Rule number 3 is like kind. I've also had multiple conversations where some kids will introduce me to their parents, and their parents have owned a fourplex forever. They bought it for $55,000. Now it's worth $2.2 million. And they're like, the kids don't want it. You know, it needs a lot of work. They haven't really kept it up, but it's worth $2.2 million because it's 2 blocks from the beach. So I'll talk to them, and the dad will say, you know, I thought about doing a 1031, but I really don't want another fourplex. Because they hear like kind.
Right.
And so I've got dozens of times where people own, and it was always multifamily.
Yep.
They're like, I own this multifamily. I don't want to buy another multifamily.
Yeah.
I want to sell it because I don't want another multifamily.
That's right.
And so I told them, look, hey, the good news is you don't have to buy another one.
Yeah, but it said like kind.
Like kind, meaning that, because you can, here's the best example. Since the exchange is allowable for business, trade, or investment, right? So that's 3 different classes of a property. Because you could be making widgets in your building, sell your widgets, and then go buy an apartment building.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So that's why it's like kind, because it's used for income purposes. That's what they should really just say, because used for income purposes encompasses those 3 classes that is discussed.
It's almost easier to understand if you say it in the opposite, which is property not meant for your personal dwelling. Because you can use the property if it's for a business, that would qualify for business use. But if it's for your personal dwelling where you live, you can't do that. But just about anything else, property related.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes people will say, hey, I've got capital gains when I sell stocks. Can I 1031 stocks? No. James, you can confirm this for me, but I think...
Yeah, that's called a 1035, I think. They can exchange into other investment vehicles, but not real estate.
Yeah. But it's
I'm not a CPA. I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving advice here.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
We're not either.
Yeah, we're not either. The 1035, though, is what you said, right? 1035.
That makes all of us.
Timmy's like, 1035? Did you say 1035?
1035, right?
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, that's because the opportunity zones, I know, is something that you can sell. If you sell stock and there's a gain of stock, you can get into an opportunity zone.
That's right.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, that's a different episode, too.
Way out of my lane. All right, so that's the like kind. That's rule number 3. Rule number 4 is 45 days to identify. The 45 and the 180 days came from a landmark case that happened in 1979 called the Starker case. And up until 1979, so for 58 years, the 1031 was simultaneous. Like you had to have everything all lined up. Boom, trading. And the Starkers went to court and said, you know what, this is messed up. We shouldn't have to be penalized or held to a standard where
it's nearly impossible.
The way this is going to happen is to do this simultaneously. And they won the case. And so that's when we got 45 days to identify. So from after you close on the property you sell, your relinquished property, the very next day the clock starts ticking. You have 45 days. There's people who have been screwed by this as well. They think, oh, weekends don't count. Yes, they do.
They do.
They're calendar days.
Yep.
They're not business days.
Yep.
If it strikes midnight on day 46 and the form is not complete, guess what just happened? Your exchange failed. Same with the close. You have 180 days close. So in my world, 180 days is more than enough time, usually. The 45 days to identify is a challenge. And that's a lot of people fail for that reason, because if you don't know what you're exchanging into, really, you should have a pretty good idea before you even put the property you're going to sell on the market.
Right.
I know that was going to be my question. Why not just do that step first? Wouldn't that be smarter?
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be smarter for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Every time it would be smarter.
Yeah. That's the way to do it. You just got that little bit of grace period.
Yeah, we won't get into all the different types of exchanges, but just to give you an example, in that case, there is a reverse exchange where you can go and buy your replacement property, get it all set up, and then sell the other property. A lot of steps involved there.
It's definitely more complicated.
To be engaged beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah. The QI actually holds the title on the property until you sell your down leg.
Okay.
Now, But before we jump into some of the other questions that I have, I want to quantify for Timmy how powerful this can be. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do some math. All right. Grab your, can you grab your
Calculator?
calculator? Let's do some math. Let's say you're going to sell an investment property for $2 million that you've owned for 10 years. Okay.
Okay.
There's two things you have to figure out. You have to figure out what was your original basis. All right. So let's say you bought it for $1 million and you're selling it for $2 million 10 years later. Nice job doubling your worth there. Okay?
Yeah, good job.
But there is appreciation. Appreciation is you bought it for $1 million and you're selling it for $2 million. There's $1 million worth of appreciation there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You're charged a capital gains tax on the appreciation of the property. All right.
Okay.
Now that's 15% plus 5% in Kentucky. So it can actually be 25% if you do federal plus Kentucky and you're in that top tax bracket. So 20%.
Okay.
So what would the tax be on the appreciation?
$200,000.
Wait, we're going to let Timmy do math. This is fun.
Oh,
So-
okay. Got it.
1 million.
1 million of appreciation, 20% tax on that would be
20%. 200,000.
$200,000. That's a lot of money.
I almost didn't know how to do the math on the calculator.
Now,
Yeah.
this is only part of the equation
That is
because
a lot of money.
the other thing you've been doing the entire time you've been owning that property is depreciating it,
Right.
right?
Right.
So let's say, I'm just going to pick a number. Let's say you've depreciated over 10 years. Let's say you cost segged and so you've accelerated some of that depreciation. And let's say you've depreciated 40% of that $1 million purchase. Now let's say you can't depreciate land. So let's take, say, $200,000 out for the land and you had $80,000 there, or $800,000 that you can depreciate over normally 39 years, but you've owned it for 10, you've depreciated 40% out of it. If you've depreciated 40% of an $800,000 tax basis, how much would you have depreciated?
$320,000.
All right. So you have reduced your income over that 10 years by $320,000. You hadn't paid tax on that. Nicely done. Okay. But when you sell the property, you have a recapture tax of that of 25%.
So 25% of
$320,000. So for every dollar you didn't pay tax on, you get taxed a quarter when you sell the property. Now, I'll take that deal every time.
In addition to the capital gains.
Yeah. So the capital gains is from that million up, and the cost recapture is from what you've depreciated down, essentially.
So now we're at
So what's 25% of $320,000?
80,000.
80,000. So what's your total tax going to be? What's your taxable event if you sell this property?
$280,000.
So you have 280,000 reasons to do a 1031 tax deferred exchange.
Yeah.
Like if you do that tax deferred exchange correctly, that $280,000 that you owe gets deferred into the next property, and you don't have to pay it for as long as you own the next property.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away until, James,
You die.
you die.
Right.
Then your kids get a stepped up basis to market value, and all that goes away. So some people say, I'm going to invest in commercial real estate my entire life. I'm going to continue to daisy chain these 1031s until I die.
Yeah.
And then the next generation or whoever the heirs end up being get a stepped up basis, and that tax actually vanishes at that point. It goes away.
Just like dabbing a bit of Worcestershire sauce.
They call it swap until you drop.
Swap till you drop. I like that. Yeah, swap till you drop.
Swap till you drop. I like that.
So let's make this a little more
That's a
interesting.
good name for a bar.
So he just talked about 280,000 reasons why to do that. Okay. So here's how you continue to build wealth using the 1031 exchange.
Okay.
As a commercial real estate broker, your success depends on the right strategies and guidance. The Massimo Group, the world's top coaching organization for brokers, can help you scale your business and increase your income. And as a former client, I've personally experienced how their coaching can transform not only your career, but also your life. Don't wait to grow. Head to www.massimo-group.com today and see how their proven systems can work for you. This episode is also brought to you by Site to Do Business, the ultimate commercial real estate data analysis and mapping tool. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, Site to Do Business provides the data and insights you need to make informed decisions and close deals faster. Frankly, it's the tool that I use the most in my business. Access comprehensive market analysis, demographic data, and powerful mapping tools like ArcGIS, Placer AI, and Flood Maps all in one place. Identify the best locations for your clients, analyze market trends, and present your findings with confidence. Don't miss out on this game-changing platform. Visit stdb.com today and see how it can optimize your business. And now back to the show.
Is same scenario. Okay, so we took you sold the thing for $2 million. You already explained why we're going to exchange. And here's why that 200% rule and the 95% exception rule exist, is because if you're going to leverage, then you will most likely use these two rules. So back in the day when money was sub 5 and you could buy a 5%, 6% cap net lease deal, you could say, you know what? I got $2 million in cash. I'm going to go buy $5 million in property. Spread those funds out over those properties, because the income from the properties is more than you're going to pay for the debt service. So you went from a $2 million asset to now I have $5 million in assets.
Oh, yeah.
I had a guy back when I got him, he sold for, he had $5 million, no debt. So he had $5 million cash when we were all done. And he called me, he says, I'm going to exchange into $10 million with the property.
I hope he used a QI.
Go find me $10 million worth of properties. Because he was getting money at like 2.3. It was ridiculous money that we were able to get. And his cap average was about 5.5. Now, here's how you build multi-generational wealth through the net lease world. Is when you go buy a net lease product, what I focus on, because I'm working with mostly people in their golden years, we'll call it.
Nicely put.
Love it.
I like to find them brand new net lease deals with at least 15, if not 20 years of term on them. The only asset class that has 20 years of term is the QSR, also known as quick service restaurant, known to us as drive-throughs. So fast food drive-throughs. So I'll just give you a perfect example. Meritage, they're the world's largest Wendy's operator, and they develop their own properties.
I used to work at Wendy's. Little known fact.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I cooked at Wendy's for a very short time. There's some extra
grill master.
Yeah, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how you put it on your resume.
This building is brand new. They're doing a 20-year sale leaseback, annual escalations, and it's an absolute net lease where it's literally mailbox money with the absolute net lease. Triple net on steroids. So what I show my clients, and I've already done it with more than a few, is go buy that 20-year deal. We'll hold on to it for 5 to 7 years. Because the net lease, they're priced and sold based on their income. So as the income grows, so does the value of the property. So what I'll do is say, look, in 5 to 7 years, we'll do this again. And you'll get another new building and another 20-year lease. You do that enough times, you show your kids how to do it. Now your kids get the properties, and they show their kids how to do it. And if after, second, third, definitely fourth time, you should be able to go, now we're getting 2 properties. Now we're getting 3 properties. And that's how you can continue to use that strategy to build multi-generational wealth.
Yeah, and why couldn't you do that on a lease term that was shorter, like a 10-year?
See, he's not as dumb as you think he is, Bo.
No, that is the right question.
Yeah.
That is a great question. It is because in the net lease world, term is king. So when you see, if you go on the market right now and you go and look at deals, the cap rate, Bo knows this, the lower the cap rate, the lower the risk. The higher the cap rate, the higher the risk. So when those net lease deals get below 10 years of term, that cap rate starts going up.
And what happens to the value of the property when the cap rate goes up?
It goes down.
The value goes down.
Right.
So you want to sell before
the cap rate
there's
changes
10 years of term left or less.
Yeah.
So if you buy 20, you hold it for 5 to 7 years. That whole time, there's with the leases he's talking about, there's annual escalations built in. So the rent goes up every year.
Yeah.
And after 7 years of annual increases, the NOI was here when you bought it, and now it's here. And so you cap that NOI, and you have more than 10 years of term. That NOI is still going to be pretty dang low.
I see.
And it's going to be worth significantly more. Now, the only risk in that scenario is what we just went through. You know, when we go through an inflationary period where interest rates go up 12 times in 18 months or whatever it was.
That's right.
Cap rates went up regardless of the term.
Right.
Right. And so worst case scenario is you're getting a lot more cash flow from that property than you were in the first place.
Right.
You can't sell like you thought, but it's cash flowing like a...
So it gives you that wiggle room to hang on to it for a little bit longer than 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, you've got that 20-year term versus, and that's the thing is a lot of the net lease assets that used to sign 15, they're only signing 10 years deal now. It's getting harder and harder to find new construction with
20s.
Good, solid 15 and 20-year terms on them.
But most quick service restaurants are in that boat, right? Is what you're saying?
They sign 20s almost always. But again, actually, I take that back. I'm looking at a brand new Popeyes where it's only a 15-year deal. But here, I got a great story. The last time I did this for somebody, and it really shows the example.
Okay.
So in 2017, I had a guy that I sold a property here in Ventura for him, and he exchanged into $2 Generals. They were both brand new. They're both in Arizona. One was in a fairly good size area of Arizona, one not so much. The one that was in the good side, in 2022, at the end of 22, everything on the net lease market was a 5 cap. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Didn't matter where it was, who the operator was, how much term was left. I mean, if it was a new deal, it was sub 5 cap. But everything, I was shocked. I was like, this is insane. But that's what the market does, right?
Well, look, if there's 2.5% money and you have a 5 cap, you've got positive leverage on that all day long.
5 cap, that means
the cap rate was 5%.
So anyways, everything was traded at a 5 cap. So I failed to mention Larry, my client. He got his deals north of 6.25 caps.
Okay, nice.
And they were all cash. He had no debt on. And the one in question he bought for $1.7 million, and it was collecting just over $100,000 in rent. I called him up and said, Larry, what would you say if I could sell the DG in so-and-so for $2.2 million? Basically make you $500,000 on that purchase and get you another brand new 15-year with a brand new building. He's like, I'd do that deal tomorrow. I'm like, okay, I'm sending over the listing agreement.
all right.
I sent over the listing agreement. He signed it. I had it under contract in less than 2 months.
Nice.
And that's what we did. So he collected, I did the math. It was over $500,000 he bought in it. So he paid $1.7 for the property. In the time he owned it, he collected more than $500,000 in rent. Then I sold this building for $500,000 more than what he paid for it, exchanged him into a new building at $2.2 million. Now his income did go down a little bit because the cap rate had changed a little bit, but it was less than $10,000 a year. But it did go down from what the other one was paying. But he had another 5.5 years of rent coming. That's the strategy in a nutshell.
This is crazy because in 2017, he bought it for 1.7, right? So 2017, and you got 1.7, right? And then in 2022, he bought one for 2.2 million. Interesting, huh? Yeah.
Now, can I put my coach's hat on here for just a second and point out something that James did? So, you know, the investors in our audience should have really perked up about the topic of this episode.
Right. Okay.
This is a strategy they can use to protect their wealth and maximize it moving forward. Okay. But for the brokers listening right now, you should also know how to do this and help your clients do this. Okay. It can lead to fees and stuff. But here's what James said he just did. Well, let me back up. Here's what normal looks like. Hey, Timmy, you want to sell? Got something you want to buy or sell?
Right. Not really.
And you're like, man, I would sell, but like, what would I do with the money?
Yeah.
Like we run into that all the time as brokers. It's like, I don't really care whether I own this thing or not. it's working out fine. But if I sold it, like, I'm not, when they say, where would I put the money? They're saying, I'm not going to pay the capital gains tax. I'd have to 1031 into something else. And like, what?
I'm comfortable.
I'd have to go figure that complicated mess of rules out and do it where like over half of 1031s fail. And you want me to sell my property and chance that?
Right, right.
What he just did was he said, hey, look, Larry, you bought this for $1.7 million. We can get 2.2 for it right now. And if he would have shut up right there and said nothing, Larry would have said, well, where am I going to put the 2.2?
Yeah.
But he said he solved his problem with the original pitch. It was, hey, look, if I can sell this at 2.2 and then exchange you into a brand new Dollar General with a brand new 15-year lease, like, what would you think about that? I'd do that deal in a second. Like right off the bat, like what he did was really smart. You can anticipate what the pushback and the objections are to an idea when you talk to somebody.
Right.
And go ahead and solve it for them when you make the original call,
So good.
Nicely done, James.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. And I appreciate you recognizing that, but, nearly 30 years of doing this, you kind of get good at some stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's right. They're the best 1031 online.
well, no, actually, so I'm glad that he pointed out to the brokers, he said the investors, obviously you want to know this, but the brokers should know this too.
Right.
That's really the main reason why I've launched Best 1031 Online, both website and YouTube channel, is I want to help agents. I want to help you guys make money. More than half of the referrals I get come from other brokers because they're concentrated on listings. If I have a multifamily guy, he feeds me 3-4 deals a year. Every year I can count on 3-4 deals from him.
Wow.
Because he's selling a multifamily. They want to exchange. He doesn't want to mess with it. James, that takes too much of my time. I want to list more multifamily properties. Awesome.
Wow.
He does it to me. I pay a 30% referral fee to my fellow brokers.
Nice.
So
listen up, listeners. Listen up.
Yeah, but the website and the channel is really meant to be a resource for them.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm going to be doing similar to what you guys are doing is anybody that's in the commercial real estate influencer world, you're going to be on my show. I'm going to hunt you down. You're going to be on my show.
Nice.
So the show is to promote, commercial real estate influencers as well as educate. And it's not just commercial brokers.
It's investors too, right?
Residential agents. So here's the thing about a 1031 exchange. Really, you can do whatever you want because the only way you're going to get caught is you get audited. Now, the IRS has gotten much smarter over the years, and they a lot more red flags pop up now than they did 20 years ago, right? But I've actually gotten into arguments, I'll call them, with residential agents who've told me I've done people that had made millions of dollars selling property in LA County and exchange into another house.
Now, but what he said is right. You can do that all day long if you never get audited.
Yeah, but
as soon as you get audited and they challenge that 1031, it will fail and you get to pay.
Right. And then basically you owe that tax.
Penalties over and interest over time.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the penalty.
Penalties and interest.
Just say you thought you deferred.
Right. Oh, my.
The lack of knowledge has been so alarming to me over the last going on 6-7 years now. It's just befuddling. I mean,
that's
and
a good
it's
word.
Weekly, I get in. So when I start shooting my shorts from my channel,
shooting my shorts.
Hey, speaking of which, I gotta just take a quick time out because I gotta really commend Timmy for MosmoCon. Dude, the joke you did about Duke and
ED.
Did you write that on the fly?
Yeah, I did. I wrote that well, no, I wrote it
the night before.
Yeah, I made that joke with Bo. Yeah, I made that joke with Bo the day before. Yeah, I wrote it then.
Yeah.
It was so clever.
And Rod,
laughed my ass. I mean, it was so. Go ahead, tell it now.
Well, Rod brought it up. Here, let me set the stage.
Yeah, sure.
Rod and I have had this ongoing Duke UK rivalry. Okay, we get to play them most years, but most of both my parents, they met at UK. My son's graduating from UK next week. I didn't go there, but we were bred to be UK fans. Rod goes to Duke, or he went to grad school at Duke. And so we've always sort of hammed up this rivalry. So the first night of Massimo Con, Duke's playing UK.
Yep.
Right.
And we're having the big, mixer dinner before day one kicks off the next morning, and Duke and UK are playing.
Yeah.
And so when they lose, I actually sent Rod a text.
You texted a few people that night.
I said,
you tried
I
to.
said you. All I said was, you are a loser.
Yeah.
After you. So when he saw that the next morning, he got a big kick out of it, and thought that was really funny. But he, in front of all the guests at Massimo Con, made some Duke is better than UK joke.
He presented you your broker award.
That's right.
With the Duke Blue.
Yeah, he's called it Duke Blue as he's taking it around my neck.
Yes.
And then he kisses me on the forehead.
That's right. Yep. He called it Duke Blue.
So when you got up on stage.
So when I got up, I pretty much was like, you all heard what Rod just said, right? Calling that Duke Blue. Now we all know, what's the common thing about Duke and UK? The common phrase.
You can't spell Duke without UK.
That's right. Duke, you can't spell Duke without UK because of the E at the end and the D at the front. So Duke is just UK with ED.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, James. I appreciate that.
As we kind of wrap this up a little bit, James, I want to tell you, I don't have a lot of 1031 stories, but I know of a guy. And then I want you to top me with a few stories of people just doing epic fail, stupid stuff, trying to do a 1031 exchange. This guy, he's one of these that's like, I'm going to do it the way I want and hope I don't get audited. Okay. So you got 45 days to identify. He identifies the day before he closes on it.
Okay.
And he'll close often after the 180 days. Like he's breaking all the rules, and it won't catch up to him unless he gets audited.
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen him change like what he's identified, like the day before closing.
Yeah.
He does, and you're like, dude, you can't.
QI lets him do that? Because that's typically a QI will no, I'm not, because they have to sign off.
He doesn't use a QI.
Oh, boy. What's his name?
No.
Where does the money go? Is he taking receipt of the funds, or who holds the funds while he's exchanging?
Look, I do not represent this gentleman, so I don't know the information.
Yeah.
It's great. I'm not surprised.
I have no authority or responsibility for what this guy does.
Yeah.
Okay. But what are some other things that like massive, like this guy, epic fail on trying to do a 1031 because he broke the rules?
I have some epic fails.
Yes.
Yeah. So the one that came to mind as soon as you said that, the one that came right to me was coming out of COVID, a local residential agent here who very savvy, top producing, high end luxury homes. I mean, the median home price here is $1 million. So I don't even know what high end is anymore. But anyways, she does very well for herself, including she owns a small portfolio of single family home rentals.
Okay.
Well, because this is back when it was probably 21, because 21 went off the hook because 2020 was so dead, right?
Yep.
So 2021, houses were selling for hundreds, if not millions of dollars over ask.
Here.
People were paying cash for just ungodly things. And so what I think happened is somebody came to her and wanted to buy one of her rentals, and just made her an offer she couldn't refuse. She had done 1031s before, and she went out and she identified 3 other rental properties. What do you suppose happened?
Well, she couldn't close on them because she couldn't actually get them under contract.
Nope.
She
Because the market was so hot and the activity was so grand, she got blown out on the 3 deals that she identified.
So someone else got him.
somebody else got them, paid more for them than what she identified, and she wasn't able to close on any of them.
Oof.
That's what I just said.
Right. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. I that 3 different cases I worked on during that same time period was gnarly.
So
What's before we move on, because identifying a property, what that sounds like to me is I go online, I see a property I might want to do, and I tell whoever. What's the official, like, what does it actually mean to identify a property? Are you writing it down?
There is a specific form that the QI, you fill it out. Different QIs will help you at the level they help you, depends on the QI. But there is a specific form because there's a huge paper trail that goes along with an exchange. It has to go, your CPA has to go over all these stocks. They're part of your tax filing. So the identification form is a very integral part of the exchange and must be done properly and on time, time-stamped, because it has to be within that 45 days. So, and there are QIs. I've been involved in cases and QIs like, I'm not signing off on this. This does not qualify. In fact, there was a story about, I don't even remember the rules they were following, but because the DST that they were, and that's kind of what
Delaware Statutory Trust.
Too, and a DST is a backup in case the two fall apart. Well, the DST that they identified had multiple properties within the DST, and the QI said that disqualifies your exchange, the identification rule you're using. And I was like, wow, I'd never heard that before. So not all QIs are created equal. So that's it. You have to identify properties that match your rule, match your criteria. And again, if it's a 3-property rule, the values don't matter.
Yeah.
If it's less than, you're going to do a partial exchange. Like we talked about, you're going to pay tax on that booth. People have done that. They're like, I love this deal. I know I'm going to pay tax on $500,000. That's okay. I love this deal.
Sure.
All right, great. So the debt, replacing debt. This is also a thing that people get twisted about. Let's go back to the story Bo talked about with your guy's office building $1 million. You got and you want to go, or $2 million, and you've made $1 million in profit.
Okay.
And you're going to sell it for $2 million. Well, you still might have.
Let's say I've got $600,000 in debt on the building.
So people say, and that's where people get confused. So if you sell a $2 million property, it's got $600,000 in debt, you only got 1.4-ish left in proceeds. So that's what they say, I'm going to go buy a $1.4 million property. Well, you're going to get nicked. That's mortgage boot. So you're going to pay the tax on the mortgage boot if you don't replace the debt. That's why the simple rule is equal or greater than. If you sell for $2 million, go spend $2 million. The amount of debt you have is inconsequential.
Yep.
Doesn't change the equation at all.
Yep. Yeah. Nice and easy.
Another thing that a lot of people don't know is that, I deal with this a lot because some people will own their property forever, but they've taken money out over the years. Like I've got a guy right now working on, he's owned this apartment building in Santa Monica for 55 years. Whew. And I said, well, clearly that's all free and clear. And he said, nope. I got $250,000 in debt on it. All right. So he's going to sell it for $5 million. He's got to replace that $250,000. Now somebody would say, man, and I've told him that loan is going to be punitive with costs and points on a loan that small. I said, do you have the $250,000 in the bank? He said, of course. I said, okay, well, you can. So the point is that you can replace your debt out of pocket. With you can sell some stock to come up with it or reposition other things. It doesn't have to be a loan.
And so you gave me a look when he said he's got $250,000. At some point, this guy probably did own it free and clear and he decided, hey, I want to pull some money out of this thing. So he went and got a loan on a piece of property he already owned.
Yeah, that was
and pulled equity out of it.
Yeah,
which is tax free.
Yeah,
that's not income.
Whole other thing too, because people will say, like what Bo was saying is, I've had people where they're selling a property for $3 million, they own free and clear. They say we're going to keep $1 million because we want to pay off the house. And it's like, well, if you take that $1 million, you're going to pay $300,000 in tax, so you're only getting $700,000. And they say, yeah, we understand it. I'm like, I have a better solution. Let's buy the property for $3 million, and then after it's closed and you got a paper trail and rent and everything. 90 days is usually plenty of time. Go refi. Go pull $1 million out. Now you got tax-free dollars. The debt service on the $3 million on the new property is covering your debt costs. Do that.
You're increasing your risk profile anytime you add debt to your life.
Sure.
Okay, so there is a downside to doing this, but taking that loan out, accessing that equity after the exchange to avoid the tax is generally a better situation, unless you're just convinced that you want to be debt-free and you don't care about how that negatively impacts the bottom line of your wealth. If it's worth it to you to just be debt-free, then maybe you still make that decision, and great, quality of life, sleep better, fine, whatever. But if you're just looking at the bottom line on your personal financial statement, to exchange into the next property, then add debt to it, pull that money out, and pay off the house. That would be
I've had that conversation with many. I've met some of the most debt-adverse people. I just like, nope, not doing it.
You worked with our dad?
Yeah, our dad's that guy. He doesn't like that.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, and this might be a question for a CPA, but since you are the expert on 1031 and we are coming into a new year and tax season is coming up, is there anything that you can tell us or our listeners about when, like the timing of doing a 1031 as it relates to tax season?
Actually,
does that make sense?
That actually is a very good question. So it does have, so the scenario would be, you close on a property in December, you go into the new year. If you're usually file taxes on the 15th, you will have to file
April
for an
15th.
extension.
Yep.
Because the 180-day window is going to go beyond. And so that's a scenario. So there are timing scenarios, to answer your question. There are timing scenarios based on that, but it's a simple fix. If you plan it out right and you talk to everybody, it's a simple fix.
But you're trying to do it for the year. Like okay.
Let me flesh this out a little bit.
Sure.
Okay. The calendar year really doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay. With a 1031 exchange. All right. It's just when you close, the clock starts the next day, and you have those two timelines that you have to pay a lot of attention to. 45 days to identify with one of those three rules.
Right.
Write it down on a piece of paper, fill out that form, you give it to the QI, and you've identified. Then you have 180 days
from that time of close when you sold.
From the day after that you sold the property.
Same start time as the 45 days.
Now, if April 15th hits during that 180 days and you haven't sold, or you haven't replaced the property, you hadn't closed on the replacement property, if you do your taxes then, it's going to show that you owe the tax that you're trying to defer. So what you do is you extend to the other side of the 180 days, close on the replacement property, defer the tax, then do your taxes.
Just make sure, the whole exchange is complete before you file the taxes for that year. I see.
As soon as you get to about April or October 15th, if you're going to close and do a 1031 exchange, just give your CPA a heads up. Hey, look, we're probably going to have to extend.
Yeah.
Okay. Unless for some reason it just happens quicker than normal.
One of the things that I hear about on a monthly basis is people that close without the accommodator. I mentioned that earlier. It's amazing how often this happens. I've even been referred to people. I'll get a call and they'll say, is this James? Yes. Who's this? Oh, this is Bob. What can I do for you, Bob? Bob says, I got referred to you because I just sold a property. I want to do an exchange. Awesome. Have you already closed escrow? Oh, yeah, we closed a couple of weeks ago. Oh, who's your accommodator? My what? So they're like, they've already taken their funds. Told him, I said, I'm sorry, I can't help you. He's like, there's no way we can rewind this. No. And he said, and I said, well, kind of tell me what happened. The reason why I bring this up is that his agent and his CPA knew that he wanted to exchange. He told them. He talked to his CPA about it. The guy that was his listing agent knew about it. Nobody told him that he had to engage an accommodator before he closed. How is that possible?
Well, I'll tell you why it's possible, or how it's possible. As an investor or an owner of property, you should never, ever, ever assume that your CPA, your attorney, or your real estate broker understands how this actually works. You should be working with a CPA who knows the rules of a 1031 exchange, and many of them do, but many of them don't. And you would just assume that they all would, because they deal with taxes and Section 1031 is part of the tax code, but they don't. Maybe just because their practice has never really touched it, and they learned about it in the second year of CPA school or whatever, and they hadn't thought about it since. But don't ever assume that your broker, your attorney, your CPA knows how all of this works.
You're absolutely right, Bo. It's a great piece of advice is, seek out the advisors. And all the more reason that, real estate agents, when we talk about your sphere of influence, increase your sphere of influence, get those shiny tools in your toolbox that makes you better at what you do.
Yeah. And I was going to make a joke and say, and one of your tools should be 1031 Broker James, but I don't want to call you a tool like that. Right? So that's something Timmy probably would have said. But to your point, it's like, look, James, you are putting yourself out there as an expert in this thing, and you're wanting to educate the industry. And the flip side of that is if you're listening to this and you want help with 1031s, reach out to James. He's inviting you to do so.
Yes.
And I tell other brokers, when you're building your sphere, make sure the CPAs that you add to your sphere are real estate savvy CPAs.
Right.
Because, and I've had many times where
like Kevin Bassett,
them, you need to fire your CPA because your CPA is not doing you the best they can because they're not real estate savvy.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, a list of them would be good. But I get your point. But I would just ask all the brokers that I knew around the country, hey, who's your CPA? Do you like them? That's a great way to capture some emails.
Yeah.
This is all true.
PDF
that sounds
list. Yeah.
terrible. Managing 50 states worth of CPAs.
No, I wouldn't do
you
that.
get a few from
I'd let one of my VAs to handle that for me.
Yeah.
That's
There
right.
you go.
Hey, let me
That's
get
right.
another shout out real quick for those of you in the world of VAs. If you're a broker and you don't have VA, you're missing out. You got to have them. I know.
Now, I would agree. The only problem with you pimping them is our sponsor, or one of our sponsors,
SUPERPOWERS.
SUPERPOWERS HQ, which is where I got my executive assistant. So we may have to cut that part. I don't know.
But you could go to superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. Let them know that we sent you there. And if you want to hear about how James got his, go ask him on his channel. There we go.
That's right. Now,
Let's pimp you out now.
Yeah.
But,
let's do that. We've been talking about your YouTube channel and your website, but let's make it abundantly clear. If our listeners want to learn more about 1031s and go deeper, where can they find you? How can they reach out to you if they need to?
Well, the simple thing is you can call my office. It's 805-779-1031.
Of course it
nice.
is.
Oh,
that's good.
Oh my goodness. I bet you love saying that number.
805-779.
1031.
I'll never forget
so
it.
good. Yeah, that's so good.
The website, Best 1031 Online. If you're an investor and you go to my website, I have a calculator on there. It's just so you can kind of get an idea what capital gains you might be looking at. And then there is a contact me and you can fill out that form. Also, please go to my channel and support the Best 1031 Online on YouTube. Subscribe, comment. I'm going to have different levels of membership because I'm going to ultimately do live podcast calls where I'm going to have industry speakers come, industry experts come, where you can call in. You need to be a platinum member. So my first 500 subscribers are going to get platinum access for life.
Oh, that's amazing. Go subscribe right now. And I think, James, that is a great idea for you. You having a call-in show for this subject, I think is great for you and your personality, for what that's worth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
I
it.
think it's a great
I agree.
idea.
You can find me on all the social media channels at 1031 Broker James.
Yeah.
It's the same handle on all channels, so you can find me there as well.
James, you want to do a pop quiz?
Sure.
Yeah!
All right, pop quiz.
All right, this is how this goes. James, we're going to ask Timmy 5 questions. As you're the guest, you get to go first. You're going to ask him questions 1, 3, and 5. I'm going to ask him questions 2 and 4. You can ask him questions about anything we've covered or anything else. So we can play Stump Timmy, or you can kind of stick to what we've been teaching him on this episode. It is completely up to you. That said, question number 1. Now's when you ask him the question.
He said, did he freeze up? He frozen?
No.
That was an editable pause there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he doesn't edit out the when we look silly. He highlights those things. He doesn't edit them out.
Yeah, I think that's a pause that could entertainment value pause.
Okay, so we talked about the qualified intermediary. What else are they called?
Accommodator.
Bing, bing, bing.
Yeah,
Very
baby.
good. All right, question 2. James asked me this question. I did not get it right. Okay. What are the 3 rules for identifying a replacement property or properties?
Identify 3 properties.
Okay, great.
200%.
Of what?
200% of. It's got to be 200%. Is it the property? The property's got to be.
Only wrote gets it right because 200% called the 200% rule.
200% rule.
Yeah.
Which is 200% of what?
You can identify 200% of the value of what you're selling.
Up to.
Up to. Yeah,
Up to 200% of what you're doing. And then the other one is 95%, which is you got to at least purchase 95% of what you identified.
Right. No limit on what you identify, but you have to close on 95% of it.
Yes.
Good luck.
Right.
And it's 95%. It's 95% of the value.
90%. Okay, of the value of what you identify.
Yeah. So if you identify 10 million, you have to spend 9.5 million.
Gotcha.
Some people have said, so if I identify 10 properties, how do I buy 9.5 properties? I'm like, okay, knucklehead.
Right.
He just called me a knucklehead because I probably would have had that question if I would have thought it through. But
that actually begs a question real quick. If I'm going to do a 1031 tax exchange, right?
Tax deferred exchange.
Tax deferred exchange. When I sell my asset, I can purchase more than one asset as long as the value is greater, equal to or greater than.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Cool.
Nicely done.
All right. Yeah.
Good. Question 3.
Question 3. Who won the Super Bowl last year?
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. It was in 1921 when 1031 exchange actually presented itself for the first time. But last year, who was in the Super Bowl?
No, who won it?
I know, but who was in it? Can you give me that information?
Well, that's going to answer the question for it. But yeah, it was the 49ers and the Chiefs.
It was the Chiefs and the Eagles.
The Chiefs and the Eagles. The Chiefs won.
Oh, no. That was 2 years ago.
Oh,
Chiefs.
49ers and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It was 49ers and the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs. The Chiefs won.
The Chiefs won.
They keep winning.
All right.
Keep winning.
Okay.
That is,
okay, cool.
Okay.
Man, that's the hardest question yet.
Nicely done. Okay.
Yeah.
We have, I'm not going to be silly here. Question 4.
Yeah.
What was the name of the case that introduced the 45-day identification rule to the 1031 process?
Yeah. It's something like, it's not Sparky. Sharky, Starky, Starkle, Starky, Sparky. Hold on. The Starker case.
Yeah, nicely
I was trying
done.
not to look, but yeah, okay.
Pop quiz beat open book quiz?
Yes,
well, that's why he takes so many notes.
That's why I take notes, yeah. Yeah.
All right, question 5, James. Wrap us up.
Question 5. There were 5. Oh, I just blew it.
5.
Yeah.
How about if you ask him, what are the 5 main rules?
There you go.
Okay, no. I just need to get the first. Okay. It needs to be greater than, equal to or greater than.
Correct.
In value.
Yeah, in value. You need a QI or an accommodator.
not mean. Be
like kind, like kind.
All right, good.
Like kind. Yes, and then of course the days you've got. Whenever you sell, you close on that sale, you got 45 days to identify.
Right.
Also on that day, you got 180 days to close on what you have identified.
Good.
Woohoo!
Timmy now knows 1031 tax deferred exchange.
I do. I know it pretty good. And after I edit this, it'll be locked in. Locked in.
That's right.
NOI over value is your cap rate. Just,
If you were wondering.
If you were wondering. Well, thank you all so much for listening to Commercially Speaking. We got new episodes every single Monday. If you are listening on YouTube, if you have a YouTube, go to Commercially Speaking, subscribe, ding that little bell, and let us know in the comments what you thought about this episode or any other questions that you might have. While you're down there in the show notes, you can see that you can go over to Best 1031 Online, the YouTube channel. Go subscribe there as well. Every single Thursday, we got a free newsletter. How do they sign up?
We do. You can go to subscribe.wgbarron.com and join our newsletter. Every Thursday, we send out a free newsletter. It contains a podcast episode. It contains all kinds of curated content on leadership, negotiation, commercial real estate, culture, business in general, the stuff I love to read. And it's a quick read, kind of scan through, pick out what you like. We'd love to see you join us there. And Timmy, we got some shout outs before we go.
We got some shout outs. If you do, go ahead. Go ahead, James.
I want to make sure I get this in here. I meant to get this in here earlier. I love Bo like a brother. And we've got so many great stories. But I have my favorite, and I call them Bo-isms.
Oh, yeah. Some Bo-isms.
Okay.
Bo-isms. One of his famous ones is when in the conversation around presents, about making sure that you don't go and do so much presents and forget about being a broker, because you'll be famous, but you'll be broke.
That is true. Don't just do presents.
Yeah,
That's right.
And then the other one, and this was about, more specifically to people who are new to the business and really focusing on picking a specialty, is you probably don't want to specialize in harborfront property in Kansas.
This is true.
This is true.
If you're a marina expert, don't specialize in marinas if you live in Kansas.
That's right. Some Bo-isms. I'm glad you got it in there. I love it. If you know Bo really well.
I just want a little piece each month, because I've already trademarked it. Bo-isms is already trademarked.
Hey, he should get a piece of that. Well, if you know Bo really well, I'd love to know if you have thought of any Bo-isms when that came up. Put those in the comments. If you do leave a comment on YouTube, we pick some out every once in a while, and we'll just shout them out. We got a couple right here on 5 ways to make money. This is like our 3rd or 4th, maybe 5th episode. 5 ways to do your first deal from Kevin9243. Most underrated CRE materials. The brothers are great. I hope I get to take a CI class with Bo.
Nice. Come on.
Thanks, Kevin. From Industrialize from last week's episode, which was all about me.
That's right.
Yeah, Timmy is such a great storyteller. Thank you, Chad Griffiths.
Yep, he certainly is.
And then honorable mention from Thomas Lee. Thank you so much for the amazing videos. A bit off topic, but I want to ask, my OKX wallet holds some USDT, and I have the seed phrase: alarm, fetch, churn, bridge, exercise tape, speak, race, clerk, couch, crater, letter. Could you tell me a little bit more about how to do that? And here's my response.
Ooh, yes, please.
Easy. Once you open your account in Binance, you'll want to select transfer from OKX. After that, you'll be prompted to type your seed phrase. It may take around an hour for the transfer to be completed. Set an alarm so you don't miss the final moments of the transfer. When the alarm goes off, quickly fetch some cream and start churning butter from the bridge down the road from your location. Pumping that stick up and down repeatedly will be a great and familiar exercise for you. Use that time to tape yourself speaking about multitasking and race to publish it on YouTube. As that video is uploading, turn on Clerks, plop on the couch, and relax. By the time the movie is over, get up from the crater you created in your couch and hit publish on your video. With your tasks complete, take a pen and paper and write a letter to Santa about how you've been a good boy this year. Then take that letter and shove it up your butt.
Please don't give me a pop quiz on that.
I love little those little scam things. Anyway, if you write a comment, we could read it
Nobody's
out.
going to write a comment now that you just eviscerated knucklehead here.
Yeah, that was a scammer.
Yeah,
that's
I
a
know,
scammer.
I know,
Don't
I
be a
know.
scammer.
I do want to mention as we close out here that circle January 10th.
Yes.
We're going to do a live episode on January 10th with our buddy Michael Hieronymus. It's going to be all about AI and what we can expect in commercial real estate with AI in 2025, specifically some of the new tools that are coming out. And
I'll be there for that.
that's going to be
Sure.
Yes.
It's going to be at noon Central Time, January 10. We're hoping to get a live audience. What Michael wants to do is interact and take live questions and address things, as opposed to the three of us just talking and doing a normal episode, which I think is a great idea. So
I love it.
January 10th, circle your calendars at noon. Jump on, and it'll be live on YouTube, Facebook,
X,
and LinkedIn.
and LinkedIn. Yeah.
So pick your favorite platform.
Awesome.
Join us there, and
Yes, that's going to be amazing. And if you haven't seen the other episode we did of Michael Hieronymus, check that out right here. It's incredible what he has really dedicated a lot of time into researching and figuring out, and then how to apply it. It's unreal, and I'm so excited that we get to host that. That we get to host that on January 10th. Mark those calendars, and if you leave a review on Apple Podcasts, we shout out every single one of those. So you just go to Apple Podcasts, go to our, click on our picture, and scroll past a few episodes. You will see the reviews, and that's how you leave it right there. Other than that, James, 1031 Broker James, thank you so much for coming on. This is extremely enlightening. You are a ball of energy that made this a super fun.
yeah,
Well, thank you very much.
I couldn't agree anymore. It was great to have you on, my friend. And this has been in the works for a while, so I'm glad that it's finally happened. And our audience is going to really appreciate the knowledge that you shared and the energy and the fun way that you did it.
Yeah,
So
that's
thank you
right.
so much.
Guys, I appreciate it. And, I look forward to having you both on Best 1031 Online as well.
Yeah, baby.
Sometime in
Yeah,
the
baby.
spring.
Let's get it set up.
Yeah, I look forward to that as well. That's going to be super fun. Super fun.
Awesome.
All right. Cool. Love you, brother.
Love you, man.
Yeah. Bye, Alice.
Bye, Alice.